Yo, 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 what is going on? What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Yes, 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 yes. Thank y'all for tuning in to another DnL&Fitness live stream show. Today, we got a good show in for you today. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today is Wednesday. Yes, it is hump day. Hump day, hump day, hump day. Got to make it over that hump today. If you're on the East Coast, it is 2 p.m. If you're on the West Coast, it is 11 a.m. If you're on the Central Standard Time, it is 1. So therefore, you are either almost done with work or you are on your lunch break at work. But either way it goes, if you're here with me, you're greatly appreciated. So let's make it through your work day. At least take a few hours to burn on your work day. Of course, we got a good show tuned in for you today, but just to let you know, we are multi-streaming on 4 different platforms. We're on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Rumble. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor. When you see this like button right here, go ahead and hit that like button for me. Is it going to do it? No, not today. No. No, there it is. There it is. Hit the like button for me, please. If you don't mind, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you want to contribute to today's show, you can super chat on YouTube or right there. You can hit the Cash App, Daniel to a 2888. Venmo is Danny-Daniel-00. That is correct. So yes, yes. Thank y'all so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. And if your day is not doing too well,
You're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
let Mr. Child put it in perspective for you. If you're still alive, you'll be a-okay. I mean, it's just a bad day, but that's okay. You'll get through it. It's hump day, you know, the day that's halfway through the week. You're almost there, but you're not there. And if you got to work on a weekend, then you're like the hell with a hump day because you ain't there yet. Yes, exactly. But we're going to make it through the day. We're going to make it through the week, like always. With that being said, today's show, we got a good show on the road for you. We have our topics for today is going to be fitness. For the fitness part, we're going to talk about the steroid Anavar. Yes, people are going to be on Anavar. But mostly the people on Anavar is going to be women on Anavar, trying to figure out why that steroid is the steroid of choice. We're going to see a deeper dive into it. Coach Greg Doucette is going to be the one to sit there and give us the rundown on how Anavar works. He's going to go over a particular AI. Instagram model, influencer, or whatever, who's going to speak on the use of that and talk to other people who think, you know, what is so great about taking Anavar and what is the effects of it and the long-term effects and short-term effects and all that good stuff. And I'm more like, no effects whatsoever. I don't use that type of stuff. But hey, you never know if your pockets or not your pockets, but the way I see it is if you're not natty, your pockets are usually fatty because that's the way the industry seems to work. If you're artificial, you get richer. If you're natural, it's harder. That's just like how the world works. Ain't nothing I can do about it. It's almost like the Bible in this sense. You know what I mean? If you do worldly things, you get paid. If you keep it natural and walk right with God, you catch hell. That's just how it works. Ain't nothing I can do about it. Don't kill me. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just letting you know the message on how it works. And then we're going to move on to the economy portion of the show, which we're going to talk about the, what is it called? The tariffs, how those are working in China and the impact that it's having since the U.S. are moving Apple production over to India and the impact that it's having on China for that move happening. And we're going to dive deeper into that and see, you know, with that job loss being cut in China because of the industry or the manufacturing of iPhones being moved elsewhere. We're going to see what impact that has on China, what's going on with them and their country and their economy, and with the move of that and what impacts that have on them, which is going to be pretty interesting to see. So we're going to watch a good video to figure out exactly what is going on in China, because man, everybody's catching the hell right now. Yeah, it's not looking too shabby. It's not looking too shabby for China. It's not looking too shabby for U.S. It's just not looking too shabby all over. Like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Give me 1 second. Let me take a quick swig of this water. Yeah, that's it right there. That's a copper container, by the way. Got to get your minerals and your nutrients inside your body at all time. What is this? Wait. Let me make sure we're good here. Okay, we're good here still? Yeah, we're good there. And then for the final portion of the show, if we can make it through to that portion of the show, which would be the AI portion of the show, or the AI topic or segment, whatever you want to call it. During that segment, I'm going to go live, and we're going to keep it live, and I'm going to sit down and try to follow someone on YouTube who shows you how to make a AI OnlyFans model. I want to sit down and go through the steps and see if I can make an AI OnlyFans model using what he uses, showing what he shows, and seeing if I can actually pick up and do what he's doing and do it all live with the free utensils that we have at our disposal via YouTube. So we're going to see if that one's going to pan out and if we can get an OnlyFans model made. Can I get a clap for that one? Yes. That would be nice to actually see if we can get an OnlyFans model made live. And if we have time today, because I'm kind of pressed for time, I got stuff I got to do today. So we're going to see how this show pans out. We may not make it all the way through. I may have to finish the rest of it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But with that being said, instead of wasting time, let's just go ahead and get right into today's show. But before we do, I need to make sure that I hit the refresh button because you know, they always end up hitting me with some kind of ad right in the middle whenever I start something, and we can't have that happening. But we have just got to the skip part, and now we are on our way to the first portion of the show. So let's go ahead and get this thing cracking. Let's pull this up. Let me see right here. Where are we at? All right, so we got that going.
Coach.
All right, so here we go. Pull Coach Greg up. First portion of the show was going to be the fitness. So let me change the banner real quick. We got the banner change. We're going to let Coach Greg Doucette take it away. He's going to speak about the only PED you should take, Anavar, and let's see how this goes. Let's get it. Whoops.
Greg, in today's video, it's for the ladies. We're talking about performance-enhancing drugs, and so guys, you can pay attention as well. Stephanie Roth has made a series of videos talking about Anavar, Clan, you name it, she's going to talk about it. And so I'm going to highlight her videos and
Just remember, these are all drugs, by the way, people. Easy on your drugs.
see, is she making sense? Can I add anything? And so if you want to know more about steroids for the ladies, this is the video for you. Stay tuned right now.
I think Anavar can be a great tool for females to use when they're trying to build muscle.
And the first thing I'm going to say is she needs some sunscreen. I can clearly see sunburn below the eyes. Perhaps she has eye goggles on in the tanning bed, but I can clearly see a very defined point. And so please wear your sunscreen.
I think Anavar can be a great tool for females to use when they're trying to build muscle.
And so it's not only a great tool for females, it's also a great tool for males. But remember, this is only with the advice and consent from your doctor, and never, ever, ever break the law. And in case you're wondering, Anavar no longer legally allowed to be prescribed in the United States. And so if you're in the United States, please be careful. Canada have different laws. And so please take note of the laws in your own country. And so Anavar is very
So,
anabolic.
with that being said, Anavar is now illegal in the U.S. And how old is this video? Well, it's about a year old. But he's speaking on Anavar being illegal in the U.S. It used to be illegal, so I wasn't aware of that. But it's no longer legal in the U.S. Like I said, this is a year ago. So just be careful out there taking these PEDs or drugs, I should say. And just, you know, be wary of what it is that you're doing. And let's understand exactly, ladies, on how this Anavar works, because that's who this video is tailored to. So let's go.
Very androgenic, and so it carries fewer negative side effects for females. And because of that, I do believe Anavar the most popular steroid used by any woman in the entire world. Whether it's bodybuilding, figure, bikini, and so on, many of the athletes are in fact preferring to use Anavar.
But again, I'm going to say this like I say in every video, most people don't need it. Most people need to actually eat right and train right consistently for years and years and years.
And so she says most
That
people
is
don't
correct.
need it. Well, obviously. I mean, does anyone really need anything aside from food, water, shelter, clothing to perhaps survive? Do you really need it? Do I need HRT? I'm sure I'd survive without it. And so saying you don't need it really doesn't give you anything. And so it's very easy for someone that looks absolutely incredible, amazing, such as this, to say, oh, most people don't need it. Unless you're a competitor, you don't need it. And so I've heard that thousands of times. Steroids, only if you're a competitor. Only if you want to compete that you need to use steroids. For the most part, no one's goal is to set foot on stage. The majority of people using Anavar will never, ever compete in their entire life. They just want to look normal. They want to look average. And so they're taking steroids in order to have an average looking physique.
Now that's crazy because you got your everyday gym goer on steroids, and usually these steroids is normally going to be for either people who need it or people who are in competitions, which should let you know that when you're looking at people who are in competitions, you should already know that they're on gear. That's just how that works. So just be wary of what you're modeling after. And if you don't care, you don't care. It is what it is. But this is just to raise awareness so you can understand that everything is not what it seems. Everything is not glitter and gold. You know, there is a illusion to give you, to make you think things are, you know, way better than what they are. In reality, the best way is to keep it natural because you're going for longevity. But some people don't believe in longevity. Some people don't really want to, depends on how you live your life. If you want kids, then yeah, longevity is the way to go. If you don't want kids, then you can burn out at like 50 and be done with this earth. You know what I mean? But to each his own.
And so to say, oh, you don't need it unless you're competing, I don't like that. To me, the person who's just the average Joe Blow just wants to look good on the beat. They have just as much right to use Anavar as a person who's competing for the Mr. Olympia title. And so just like anyone going to the gym, if you're waiting to use the squat rack, whether you're Chris Bumstead ready for the Olympia title, or just your person who's the first time in the gym, each person has an equal right and opportunity to use this equipment or to use performance-enhancing drugs. Not saying they should, but everyone has the equal right to do so.
But if you are the competitor and the person who has been working for years and years and been consistent with their nutrition and training, and then you want to put in some PEDs, Anavar should be the first and the only thing that you take.
I don't know what that smile was for. That did not look too promising. I don't know what that was all about, but we got to add once again. So yeah, so understanding that they're just letting you know, hey, if you're going to take a drug, she's saying that Anavar is the drug of choice. But yeah, I don't know. I would always say when it comes to steroid use, I personally look at age. I'm like, okay, at what age are you? I don't believe that you should be taking this stuff in your 20s. Not even really in your 30s, but unless it's needed. Everybody got a need-to-need basis. Everybody's body is different. Not everybody's the same. However, once you get to a certain age, I would say like 45, 50, at that point, it's like you can give yourself a little boost. I'm not saying be on a hardcore, but do a cycle, but already have the understanding of diet and workouts going before you get into it. Don't do it to, like Ozempic, you know what I mean? You expect Ozempic to do the work to make you lose the weight. I would say understand diet, nutrition, and working out first. Once you do that for an extended period of time and actually know exactly how to work out and how to diet, then you add it to what it is that you're doing, and it'll help you with your results. But let's continue this video. Up. There we go.
Drugs at
Only thing that you take.
If you want to use performance-enhancing drugs, Anavar should be the first and only thing you should ever take, ever consider. Nothing else should ever be considered. And so really, you get your blood work done, you're deficient in testosterone, you shouldn't consider taking HRT, that you shouldn't be on testosterone for replacement doses? What about if you're deficient in DHEA? Do you not think that that could be somewhere you start? Why is it that it's only Anavar? Nothing else could be considered, only Anavar. But what if your goal is not to build muscle, but to burn fat? Is it not possible that perhaps maybe you would want to consider clenbuterol, perhaps T3, perhaps you're deficient in thyroid hormone, that could be the first place to go? But no, only Anavar. And remember, I'm not trying to make fun of her, but to say only Anavar, that's the first and only steroid, I think that's going a little bit too far.
Hey, she might be, part of the company, she might hit that discount code link in the bio type thingy to, get a percentage cut off each sale. So you never know. She might just be trying to make some money off of that. So don't hate on her. But at the same time, you do have a point.
Just because I say that Anavar is the mildest anabolic out there does not mean that it's exactly healthy for you. Besides the side effects, Anavar can also be hard on your heart.
And so she then goes on.
Well, Jesus Christ, that is a hell of a side effect, don't you think? You're gonna sit here and tell us besides your heart, it's it has side effects, but you go straight to the heart? I mean, bruh. That's like one of the main vital organs in your body. You don't want to, at least she put that first. I give her that. When she went to side effects, she went straight to the heart. So I give her that. We'll go ahead and give her that one, like straight up. So yeah, if it's a heart issue, be careful. You don't want to be seeing a cardiologist, anything for a heart murmur or nothing like that, or be running around tachycardia and, catch a sinus arrhythmia and stuff like that. You don't need that in your life.
To say, even though Anavar is the one I recommend, it doesn't go without its risks. There's obviously several risks, whether it's your liver, your heart, your organs, everything. If you're abusing Anavar, or even in lower doses, it can be harmful to your health. And so please be careful.
Anavar can also cause you to hold on to a little bit of water. So yes, water weight, but over time, if you're carrying around extra water retention, such as edema, and you have this on your heart, it's going to put more strain on your heart. This can eventually be a risk for heart disease.
She then goes on to worry about the amount of water you're going to hold and carry while using Anavar. Let me tell you that Anavar is a very dry compound. You are not going to hold on to significant amounts of water when taking Anavar. It's not D-bol, it's not Anadrol, it's not even Turinabol. And so to say that Anavar holds a lot of water, I believe this is a great exaggeration. Much of the water is in fact inside the muscle, and so you're going to look more swole, you're going to look more jacked. It's not going to make you look very puffy, having a moon face. In comparison to other steroids like D-bol, Anadrol, Anavar a very dry compound, and so I would not advise people to think, if I take Anavar, I'm going to get bloated, I'm going to get puffy, I'm going to carry a lot of water. This is not testosterone.
If you're carrying around extra water retention, such as edema, and you have this on your heart, it's going to put more strain on your heart. This can eventually be a risk for heart disease.
And so to say that Anavar is going to lead to water retention and edema and lead to long-term heart failure, heart attacks, I think that's a very large stretch. The real problem...
I mean, even if it's a stretch or not, it's a possibility. Don't just sit here and say it's a stretch and then not... I mean, if it's possibility, don't call it a stretch. I mean, if it can happen, it can happen. You know what I mean? Don't try to downplay what she's saying. I mean, it is what it is. If it's a possibility, especially at that extreme, let it be known, you know? And let people know that this is a possibility that this could happen. Saying it's a stretch, it's like, come on, bro. Like, are you getting a chunk of money on the back end? Because it is, I know Greg, he is in Canada, I believe, so it's not illegal over there. So he's like, hey, chick, you're chopping into my money. We need these people on Anavar. What are you talking about?
Problem is, in fact, increased blood pressure. When you increase your blood pressure beyond 120/80, you're increasing your likelihood of a cardiac event. And so if I were asked the question, Coach Greg, can you name a few steroids that don't cause a lot of water retention, that aren't going to be extremely dangerous for increasing your blood pressure, that I could take without getting edema, that are most likely the safest for me? Anavar is going to be at the top of my list. So to say it causes water retention, edema, and problems such as that, I think it's a great exaggeration. I'm not saying Anavar...
What is edema? Does anybody know what edema is? Let's find out what edema is real quick. E-D-E-M-A. Definition. Edema. What is edema? Edema. Is known as fluid retention, swelling, or dropsy, or hydropsy. It's the buildup of fluid in the body's tissue. Most commonly, the legs or the arms are affected. Symptoms may include skin that feels tight, the area feeling heavy, and joint stiffness. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Are safe, but of all the steroids out there, it's one of the safest, one of the ones that will cause the least amount of water retention. And so if you in fact have water retention from taking Anavar, you're getting edema, you probably have fake Anavar. It's probably not real. And so did she actually think of that? The people who are getting these side effects, oh, I took Anavar, I gained 10 pounds of water, I have a puffy face, and I'm getting edema. Probably not actually Anavar. Probably D-bol. People fake it all the time. You think you're buying Anavar, but what you're getting is something much cheaper. Perhaps it's D-bol.
Oh, okay. So basically, you don't know if it's illegal, basically, and you're getting this from a dealer, we'll say in this case, because I mean, I guess you can't get it prescribed. Then he's basically saying, like, you don't know what drug you're getting. You know, somebody's saying it's this, but it's this, and then you're wondering if you're getting this side effect, but you don't know what side effect you're getting because you don't know what you're on. You could be on a different steroid completely. So that makes sense.
Your research, do your homework. First and foremost, you need to know if your Anavar is real. You can talk to other competitors that say they're taking up to 50 milligrams of Anavar. Is it actually real Anavar?
And so unfortunately, you don't actually know if the Anavar is real. It could be fake. And when you're talking about doses, if you're a female, my personal belief is less is more. The lowest dose that makes you happy, that is the dose you're going to need. The higher the dose and the longer you take it, the worse the results are going to be. And also a major problem is women, they're taking their doses all at once. It is not something to just take every single morning before you go to the gym. You need to take it in split and divided doses, preferably 2 to even 3 times a day. And a maximum dose, in my mind, about 20 milligrams. And if you're at 20 milligrams, most likely going to experience negative side effects, potentially a deeper voice, facial hair growth increase, Adam's apple, and a growth of the downstairs, which some women and men may in fact seem to feel enjoyable. And if you're a woman and you're concerned with hair loss, one thing you can do is take finasteride, perhaps 0.5 milligrams each and every day, and this will prevent the testosterone converting to DHT, which is one of the reasons why you're losing your hair. Many people...
Oh, man. So basically take this drug to get off that drug. I'm gonna say no.
Females in particular, when they diet down for competitions and they're taking higher doses of anavar, they'll experience hair loss. It can in fact be from the diet. If you're on a starvation diet, not getting enough nutrients, you can lose your hair. But it also can be from the compounds that you're taking. And
I mean, you're taking a bunch of different drugs. You know, you're basically like robbing Peter to cure Paul. Normally it's pay Paul, but in this case, you're trying to like cure this with that drug, and you're just basically all drugged out. Basically like taking an upper and a downer at the same time and trying to figure out like what's going to even it out. And then you like smoke something on top of that. And it's just like, what is your heart doing? What is your body doing? So I mean, this is a lot. This is stressful just hearing about this. Cause it's like, dude, just go the natural way. If that's the case, cause it's stressful as hell. Hair thinning out, heart might speed up and explode. You might get what is it? Edema, all this stuff. Like, Jesus.
So if you are taking anavar and you're losing hair, either stop taking it, lower the dose, or please try finasteride.
Anavar, also known as
Finasteride. What the hell is finasteride?
is an anabolic steroid. It is a PED. Anavar is not a fat burner. So this means it's going to help you grow muscle tissue. It does not mean it's going to help you burn fat.
And so technically, anavar is not a fat burner, but it absolutely is going to help you to burn fat. And so here's why. There's something known as nutrient partitioning. That is when you consume calories, and those calories are used for something. If it's used to build muscle, it's not going to be used to store fat. And so if you had two females, both consuming 2,000 calories, both 20% body fat, dieting for competition, one adds in anavar. The person who's adding in anavar is going to get leaner. Why? Because a lot of the calories are going to be used to build muscle. The more muscle you build, the fat.
So, I mean, what he's explaining is just the whole point of why you should have diet and exercise down before you even choose to take a steroid. That's basically what he's saying in a nutshell. Like, you should already be able to understand diet and macros prior to taking any steroids. Diet and macros, have your workout down. Do that first for like months to a year. Once you get it, you grasp it, and you see your body change in form, then you add this in so you can bypass all of this he's talking about, because this is just for people who are trying to take this drug and use it as a replacement for healthy eating and working out.
Faster rate, the less fat can be stored, and so the more fat that you're burning. And so although it's not technically a fat burner, it can of course help you to burn fat. Case in point, GO2 max gives you more endurance. When you're doing your cardio, you're less tired, you can burn more calories. And so it helps you to become a better butter burner. It's not actually a fat burner, but it's helping you to burn more fat. And so if you want something that's legal, that's safe, and you want to help you burn more fat, look no further than GO2 max. The main...
Oh my gosh. See, these dudes are y'all all on drugs. These are all drugs.
That there is zero risk of side effects. There definitely are risks for side effects in taking anavar.
And so if you were at the Canadian Nationals for bodybuilding and you're in the tanning room and you're looking around all the girls, remember this. They're downstairs, they don't look all alike. The higher the dose, the greater the side effects. And although anavar is perhaps the mildest steroid, it doesn't mean it doesn't come without side effects. And so if you don't want that part to grow way bigger than last time, you have to keep the doses in check. Wow. If it's mild, but you take a shit ton of it, it's still going to have its effect. Beer has 5% alcohol for the most part. In comparison, vodka, 40%. But if you drink enough beer, it's still getting you drunk. You don't need as much vodka to get you drunk, but if you drink a shit ton of beer, it's still going to have the same effect. And so although anavar is mild, if you lose a lot of it, and 20 is in fact a lot, you are going to experience side effects.
Book on dollar.
Jesus, all right. Sheesh. So basically, if you're going to take anavar, don't take that much of it. You know, the more you take, the more hot. Well, so 20 milligrams seems like to be the dosage amount that is going to cause side effects, is what he's saying. You get to that 20 milligram mark, that's going to be a side effects part. So I don't take, but if I did, start with 5, maybe 10 at the most, and go there and kind of like, you know, keep it between 5 and 10, just to kind of keep yourself on an even keel. That would be my understanding of it, because once you get to 20, it sounds like that's where your worries kick in. I mean, you're going to be worried regardless, but 5 or 10 already incorporated with a healthy diet and exercise, you should be golden. You should be good, but I digress. Oh God, this guy. Where you at? There you are.
is in fact a lot, you are going to experience side effects. Get it? And of course it goes without saying, if you're using Anavar, it's going to cause stress on the liver, kidneys, all organs. And so one of the best supplements in the world you can take.
Ah, I did it again.
Taking Anavar. Deepening of the voice, increased hair growth, enlarged clitoris.
She said it, not me. And so I do think she looks incredible, and I do think she's speaking of experience. There's no way I think she's natural. I do believe she is in fact taking Anavar, and I do think it's higher doses than last time. I don't think she's on only 5 or 10 milligrams, but let me tell you this. Please start as low a dose as possible. If you have a boyfriend, he's a bodybuilder, he wants you to look cute and sexy for him, he's probably going to try to convince you to take Anavar. Please be careful. If you have a coach, especially those that are looking to turn you as a pro, please get a second opinion. Ask Coach Greg. Before, after, wow, 3 months, oh my goodness, I'm hiring that coach, I want the same transformation. What they don't see is the growth of the downstairs. They can't see it. Before and after transformation, you see the body, you don't hear the voice, you don't see the shaving, you don't see the growth of the downstairs, and so you think, wow, I want to hire them. But what them are doing is giving you a shit ton of performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting a bunch of drugs. They get y'all doped up with all these pills. I mean, it's all it is. It's all drugs. It's no different than any other drug you've ever taken, if you've taken any. It's the same thing. They're just getting you hooked on a drug. Only thing is, this drug is morphing your body, is getting you muscles and get you jacked and got you looking ripped and rigid and toned and stuff. But then, you know, it's having a downstairs effect on men and women. It has a you know, and if you're gonna gain something, you gotta lose something. But then I guess in a women's viewpoint, if you're gonna gain something, you're gonna gain a larger clitoris region.
And so many people know Anavar, one of the milder steroids, but one thing it's not mild on is your kidneys. In particular, if you're susceptible to the damage from Anavar. Our genetics are all different. No matter what steroids I took, my kidneys were amazing. I was lucky. Other people...
Hey, you are hella lucky, because kidneys are very important. Kidneys are very, very important. Don't screw your kidneys up. Don't screw your... Don't try not to screw your body up. I mean, you know, your kidneys, your liver. If you want to know anything more about kidney failure or something like that, man, look up dialysis. Look at somebody on dialysis. That is something you don't want to go through. Nor do you want to have a bad liver or bad spleen or anything bad with your organs. You want to keep all that healthy. So just think about that. You may look good on the exterior, but your body may not be able to take it interiorly. So just keep that, you know, in mind.
Even with very minor doses, and remember, I watched them do this, had extreme problems with their kidney function. It was not good. They had to stop. They're thinking, why do I have to stop? I'm hardly doing anything. Well, for you, I'm sorry, your genetics, they're just not that good. And if you're not getting your blood work done, you won't know this. And so just because your friend is taking 10 or 20 milligrams of Anavar and they're perfectly fine, doesn't mean that you can copy their dose and that you'll have the same results. You might take half the dose and get twice the worst results. If you are taking Anavar, of course, get your blood work done, and please be careful with your kidneys, your liver.
That is that a normal size needle? Jesus, boy, that thing look lethal long. Like, hell no. Hell, what is she giving her? That is a huge syringe. Am I tripping? Is that a syringe? Is that not bigger than normal? That is huge. Good Lord. Like, I'd be terrified.
On the other hand, very resilient. Think of all the people who drink all the time and they recover. But once your kidneys are damaged, you can't get them to recover. And so remember, please don't just jump on Anavar. There's no right time to start. The longer you wait, the better. And if you're using Anavar in your first 5 years of training, it's because you either don't know what you're doing or you're not patient and you want it right now. If you're looking for something natural that can help you to build muscle,
don't do it. Oh my goodness, you keep doing it.
To make more of them. All
right, well, there's the end of his video. I mean, Jesus, he's just trying to sell. But I feel you, Coach Greg. I feel you, man. But hey, shout out to you. Round of applause on that video for sure. Yes. Because, man, yes, you got to understand that. I mean, it's like somebody said. They said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And that's what we see a lot of in today, because it seems like the people who do things morally right, I mean, the morally right people, they don't get, how do I say this? If you do things immorally, it seems like you get financially rewarded. If you do things morally, your financial reward will come. but it takes longer if it happens, and it's, you know, it's a trial and tribulation, you know what I mean? But you got to be able to like weather through a hellified storm, but it'll come. You'll get it. You just got to believe it and have faith in it. At the end of the day, if you're gonna do it the natural route, you know what I mean? But the quicker route, I mean, it comes with its pitfalls, side effects, and all that stuff at the same time. But it's just what route you choose to really take it and which route you choose to go. But as long as you keep yourself informed to understand the decision you're making, because like what he was talking about here, these are all drugs. These are drugs. Those are all drugs, regardless how you look at it. It's a drug, and people are constantly taking these drugs to make themselves look a certain way. And the drugs help out so much. It's like, I mean, you still have to put in the work to achieve those desired results. It's just like a different addiction. You know what I mean? It's like with any other drug. You take a drug, you get a high from it. But then with this drug, you not only probably get the high from it, but you get the validation with it, because people may see you and be like, wow, you look, you know what I mean? You look good. You know what I mean? Your body looks good. And you see it. So it's like vanity on top of a high, on top of validation. So that's like a trifecta right there. That's brutal. That's intense to, you know, be able to try to withstand all that. So just be careful out there, y'all. Be careful out there. All right, what we got next? The next we have up is going to be our muscle of the day. Yes. Oh, man, I forgot to pull this up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So the muscle. There it is. I found it. Yeah, we're good. Muscle of the day. Muscle of the day is going to be these muscles right here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's pull it up. Let's see what we got here. And shout out to KenHub for using their video for going over this. But the muscle today is going to be your flexor digitorum profundus. Yes, sir. The flexor digitorum profundus. And there we go again. They hit us with the freaking ad. They got us again. But no, we're going to skip out on that. There we go. So these are the hand muscles, the muscles that are inside of your hand. I'm going to go ahead and read this off to you so you can get a good understanding. The FDP, flexor digitorum profundus, is a deep muscle of the forearm responsible for flexing the fingers. And here's a complete overview. Well, forearm, my bad. I had it wrong. But it's responsible for flexing the fingers. So that's why I said your hand, because it moves the fingers. But anyhow, the flexor digitorum profundus, the location is deep in the anterior compartment of the forearm beneath the flexor digitorum superficialis. Functions: it flexes the distal interphalangeal joints, the DIPs, of the fingers 2 through 5, i.e. the tips of the fingers. Assist in flexion of the metacarpals and joints and wrist. The anatomy of it, the origin, is going to be the upper 3 quadrants, or the upper 3 quarters of the anterior medial surface of the ulna, the interosseous membrane between the ulna and the radius, and then you also have the innervation, which is the medial half, digits 4 and 5, the ulnar nerve, and then the lateral half, digits 2 and 3, the anterior interosseous branch of the median nerve. And you have also here, right here, let's see, the best exercises you could do for these are going to be towel squeezes or hangs, which I didn't think I've ever done those before. You could probably just use like a monkey bar or steel rings or something like that, and just hang and just hold your body weight up. Dead hangs from pull-up bars. Okay, that's what they said. Finger curls with dumbbells and gripper exercise. So like stuff like this, or the ones that do like isolating fingers, which those are pretty interesting because all your fingers will get strong on that one. So yeah, so that's basically going to be it for the flexor muscle, for the flexor digitorum profundus. Those muscles right there are going to be very, very, very vital, especially for your forearm muscles, to be able to flex your fingers. I mean, that's something that we all need, you know. And if somebody has like, if you've ever been dehydrated before, or severely dehydrated, or had muscle cramps, you would feel that muscle kind of like come in and curl in on its own, or tighten up by itself. That is a scary feeling. So stay hydrated and drink your water at all times. You don't want to feel that feeling, and always remain hydrated, because dehydration is not something you want to be. You don't want nothing to do with dehydration, because that could lead to a kidney stone, and that's a whole nother problem and a whole nother situation that you don't want to go through. I had one before. Thank God mine dissolved. I did everything under the sun to get rid of it, and it worked. So just be careful out there. If you don't want to catch a kidney stone, because when you get one, it's gonna feel like it's gonna feel like a really sharp sensation on like on like your obliques, but in the back. It's like a stabbing sensation. You're gonna think you need surgery, but they're gonna just be like, "Oh, you're just dehydrated," and "Oh, you just have a kidney stone," and you're thinking like, "Are you sure? Because this feels horrible. How do we get this out?" Well, you pee it out. And if they got to go get it, I'm not going to explain it. Just pray that it dissolves if you ever get one. You don't want one. You do not want one. That is, oh my goodness. That right there will make a grown man cry. I heard from a nurse herself. Back when I used to work at the hospital, I had mentioned, I was like, man, I got a kidney stone. She was like, ha ha. Now you're going to see what it feels like for a woman whenever she gives birth. I was like, no. I was like, seriously. She was like, you'll see. She was like, yeah, you're going to feel what it feels like for a woman to give birth. I'm like,
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
I was like, man, we got to get this dissolved because I'm not about to go through this pain. This is going to be too much. I can't take this. I'm not built for this. Next, we're going to look at the same muscles, but we're going to look at it from a anatomy. How do I say this? Do I say anatomy point of view? Oh, we're going to look at it two different ways. Two different ways, but the same way. You're going to see basically like a decomposed body, no blood or nothing like that, but people who donate their bodies to whatever institutions so they can kind of do research on them and stuff like that. So you're going to see actually human body, but you're going to be able to see the veins, arteries, and all that stuff, but no blood. It's just like an actual body that they use for dissecting purposes for like medical and all that stuff. So we're going to have the anatomy lab go in and explain to us about the flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus, and basically just give us a better insight and a better look to be able to see exactly what this looks like in a real human and not just a diagram or something like that. So let's go ahead and pull this up on the screen. Fair use. Here we go right here. Let's go ahead and let them take it away.
These cut tendons come from a muscle called the flexor digitorum superficialis. I know that's a little bit of a mouthful, but flexor digitorum just means it's going to flex your digits, and it's the superficial one. But look what's cool about these tendons. If I move some of these fingers out of the way, you can actually see that this tendon from the flexor digitorum superficialis splits, and another tendon runs in between it. And that is from this muscle called the flexor digitorum profundus. Now, what's really cool, and this is to every rock climber's dismay, actually, the flexor digitorum superficialis, this tendon right there, only goes to the middle phalange, whereas the flexor digitorum profundus, the tendon that actually splits through, that actually goes all the way to the distal phalange. So when you're doing those little crimpers, when you're actually rock climbing, you might be sad that that flexor digitorum superficialis only goes to here, rather than here, like the flexor digitorum profundus. These cut tendons.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This right here looks freaky as hell. Let me just right. Wait. Where is it? Let me just. Where is it? Come back. That right there, boy. That looks hella freaky. Good Lord. I mean, and to just be honest with you, this is actual real hand, so this is like real. This is real skin and real fingernail. They just left the fingertips on for fingerprint purposes, I guess. But boy, that looks freaky, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, that looks super duper scary. That is like a straight horror movie. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. I can't look. All right, I can look. All right, so yeah, so shout out to them for showing us this. This is really interesting to look at because it shows like the intricacies of the human body and the human hand, man. Like not just the hand, because we're looking at the hand right now, but how intricate it is, and the tendons that we have, and tendons they split apart, and there's one in the middle that helps us, and understand that the fingers move because of the forearms. All this stuff. It's really interesting to see what it looks like and how everything works and how everything is connected together, and to get a better understanding to know that how important your muscles are and how important exercise is to your life. You cannot have weak muscles like this, or not like this, but you can't have weak muscles or weak tendons. You got to strengthen yourself every single day and be able to have a muscle-mind connection to whatever you work out. So muscles are very, very, very important. And we'll look at another one here real quick. We'll look at this one right here. Bam, we'll look at this one. We'll turn the music off, or the sound off. But we'll look, and he's explaining the same thing too. And you can see this body is a little bit, I don't know, more fresh, sort of say. I don't know what to call it. Maybe it's more fresh, or whatever you want to say, but same concept here. You're looking at the same muscle group that they're talking about. And as you can see, if you're looking at this right here, it's basically, you know, showing how intricate it is. He's pulling back the muscle on top, or the superficial fascia off the top of it, to be able to show you what's underneath. And just look how much goes into everything that we have inside of us. Like, all of this goes inside of us to keep our body, you know, functioning and moving. All the, you know, the tendons, the veins, the arteries, all this stuff goes into play to help us move. So just don't ever sit here and take stuff for granted. You know what I mean? I'll pull it off the screen. Probably too much for you to see. But don't ever take yourself for granted. Don't take your body for granted, man. Exercise, go work out. Always exercise, always work out, always take care of yourself. And if you, for some reason, can't ever make it to the gym, and you have a hard time making it to the gym, then we'll just show you what today's sponsor of the show is. Today's sponsor of the show right here, if you can't make it to the gym, feel free to always take your butt over to DnL&x Fitness on YouTube and click the video tab and get you a workout in at home, whether it's dumbbells or just simply your body weight. That's right. Yes. Looking fantastic. Look at that there, boy. Look at that. Getting that workout at home. And if you can't get it at home, or if you're traveling, if you're on the go, feel free. Click on this. Click on my YouTube channel in the video tab and get you a workout. We have push days, leg days, back days, core days, ab days. Whatever you need, we got you for sure to take care of you, to keep your body on the go. And if you need coaching one-on-one, feel free to hit me up in the email or whatnot, and we'll get you set up on a coaching plan to get you the desired outcome or body that you desire, and to just keep you fit all the way around. You know what I mean? All because you have muscles doesn't mean that you're fit. So don't let these people fool you, because we just saw Coach Greg basically state that. So just be careful out there and make sure you stay fit and take care of yourself at all time. All right? Yes, yes. And with that being said, that'll be it for the fitness portion of the show. All right, what do we got up here next? What do we have up here next? Next, we have the economy. So we're moving on over to the economy portion of the show. And this part of the show, we're going to go in and speak on China. So, you know, China and the U.S. has tariffs going on. And to take a deeper look into what's going on right now, recently, if you don't know, the U.S. has decided to move its Apple products out of China into India. And we're going to take a look into China and see what effect that has on China and what's going on with them, because they're having a plethora of economic, I guess, crisis hit all at one time. Just like us, we're having the same problem too. It seems like everybody's having these same problems, but the rich people up top are still, you know, enjoying life. But hey, let me digress. But we're going to take a look at inside of China to see exactly what it's like and what's going on with this happening. Because a lot of people are losing jobs. A lot of people are going to be out of work. A lot of people can't get work. Then you have the new generation of people going into the workforce trying to get work, but they're picky on the kind of work that they do because they're not used to warehouse work. They rather do computer stuff, which, I mean, it's a different generation. So things are different and not as much as how the same as they used to be. So we're going to get a look in at China and what's going on with their economy and how things are going. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just going over what this video entails, and we're going to see exactly how things look and if it's a striking similarity on what's going on in the US or whatever country that you're in, to see if there's a similarity of what's going on and if this is going to be a global thing that's going to hit everybody at the same time. So without further ado, let me go ahead and refresh the screen before we get started, because you know they like to hit me with that ad right when I decide to play a video. So just pay attention to this and see if there's any striking similarities that's going on in your country that's happening with China as well, with this tariff war that's going on that the U.S. and China are actually going into together. So it's going to be fun to see. It's going to be interesting to watch, because you can always look at it and just be like, man, if this happening here and this happening there, because Europe ain't having a good time either. Europe ain't doing too well either, according to the research and everything. They're not having a good time. U.S. is having a hard time, and now China, what it seems like they're having a hard time. So let's see exactly how all this stuff works and how all this stuff pans out, and if it's something that you need to keep on your radar to have a good understanding to pay attention to. With that being said, let's go ahead and pull this up on the screen, and let's check out this video. Make sure I got the volume up, because I hate doing that. Here we go. Take it away. Business Basics. Video by Business Basics. Fair use.
offset the impact of President Trump's tariffs on China. Apple is planning to temporarily source more iPhones from India.
Apple has a strategy for avoiding President Trump's steep tariffs on China.
Samsung Electronics has ended mobile telephone production in China. It has shut its last phone factory in the world's biggest smartphone market.
This is the scene of a furniture factory closure in Guangzhou. Pieces of fabric that were still being sewn, it has badly hurt China's export manufacturing industry.
China used to be the promised land for the $380 billion goods business. Now, it is the land of losses.
China's reign is...
I mean, it looks like everybody's taking a loss right now, so I wouldn't just say China, but hey, let's see what they're talking about.
Coming to an end. For decades, China has been the manufacturing king of the world, being responsible for nearly 30% of all global manufacturing output at its peak, making everything from electronics to textiles to heavy machinery. But now that once unshakable empire is collapsing. The manufacturing sector that powered China's meteoric rise is now facing severe issues that threaten its place in the world. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the untold story of China's manufacturing crisis and how this earth-shaking shift could change the way the world does business forever.
Oh man, I did a video on how the shift could change the way video is being done forever. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually talk about that in this video, about how the shift of shifting the manufacturing production and how that's going to change in the near future here within, like I would say 10 years tops, how things are going to drastically change or how manufacturing is done. Let's see if they touch up on this in this video. Oops.
The main reason why China is undergoing a manufacturing crisis can be stated simply in one sentence. Businesses don't want to produce in China anymore. The big question is, why?
Well,
let's start there and jump into discussing why China isn't as favorable a place to manufacture goods as it used to be. What possible reasons could be so bad that even companies like Nike and Apple are running away from China in search of newer markets? The first factor is labor. One of the big reasons why China managed to rise to the throne of manufacturing was that it boasted a lot of cheap labor. Back in the day, it had a huge and cheap workforce that made producing in China an accountant's dream. Everyone simply wanted to set up factories in China, but decades later,
jellyfish is permanent lighting so good.
They got me again. They said jellyfish. Okay, well, whatever about jellyfish. We're gonna figure that out next. So everybody everybody was sending over all of their stuff to China, but now that these tariffs have hit, things have changed a little bit, and now we're gonna see that China doesn't produce cheap labor like it used to, and we're gonna see who does and why everything is migrating over and what the effects are afterwards. Let's continue.
Case anymore. Now, China's rising labor costs are a key factor in this crisis and are contributing to making China less desirable for manufacturing.
They're making money. That's why.
How did this happen? Well, over the past 2 decades, China has experienced a rapid economic growth, lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and creating a booming middle class.
I mean, when you're the manufacturing hub for so long, what did you think was going to happen? You ain't going to stay in the same place forever. You know what I mean? At some point, you were going to get better and you were going to, move on to greener pastures. You weren't going to just stay the manufacturing hub forever because y'all are making so much money now. But are your people making more money, or did all that money just get filtered and go straight to the top is the question. But let's see.
While this is a remarkable achievement, it has also led to a significant increase in wages. In 2005, the average monthly wage for a factory worker in China was around $150. Fast forward to 2025, just 20 years later, and that figure has soared to over $1,200. This dramatic rise has eroded.
In 20 years, what is that? 10 times 150 is 1,500. So 8 times 15 is gonna be 0, 8, 4. It's about like 8 times the amount that. Yeah, so they grew significantly in 20 months as far as the labor production cost. So for sure, then you put tariffs on top of that now. Yeah, China's not looking too shabby as a place. That's not going to be a good move. But then again, I mean, they're making a lot more money. Did the money go to its people, or did it get filtered to the top? And then if you take that money and just yank it from them, that's going to be a hard penalty for the people to pay because of the tariffs. But let's see how this goes.
One of China's biggest competitive advantages, its low-cost labor. To put this into perspective, consider Vietnam, where the average monthly wage for a factory worker is approximately $300. Or India, where it's even lower at $250. Because of this, and many other factors we'll be discussing soon, companies like Apple have begun to shift production to countries like India.
Yep.
A simple showcase of that is how 20% of all iPhones, a move worth $22 billion, are now made in India, as compared to just 1% around 20 years ago. These countries...
Okay, so 20 years ago, it was 1%. What, 20 years ago? It shows 2021, 1% made in India. Whatever. But at the end of the day, so that shift of $22 billion leaving your country and going to a different country, I mean, what is that going to do for your country if you take that much money out and outsource the jobs elsewhere? Because as Americans, I mean, all of our jobs got outsourced. Like, they outsourced so many of our jobs and they still ain't bringing back. They took it from China, gave it to India. But again, the labor costs. America has a high, Americans want to be paid a lot. Now that China has risen up to that level, so now they want to be paid a lot. So it's like, at what point are you going to get to a point where you can no longer get cheap labor? Then what do? I mean, my opinion, you will probably end up hiring AI workers, but let's continue.
Countries are now emerging as attractive alternatives for many other businesses looking to cut costs. And we'll talk more about that soon. But it's not just about numbers. The younger generation in China is increasingly turning away from factory jobs, seeking opportunities in tech, services, and other industries that offer better pay and working conditions. The nation's youth absolutely despise traditional factory jobs. And don't just take my word for it, listen to this.
Mismatch between the white-collar jobs the young graduates would like to do and the need for blue-collar workers.
This shift has created a labor shortage in some regions, further driving up costs for manufacturers. After all, the higher the demand for workers, the higher the wages. The situation has gotten so bad that President Xi and his administration have been actively pushing for more kids to study manufacturing, so that they can fill factory jobs and reclaim them.
They're trying to get kids to study manufacturing. Oh my goodness. See, that right there should tell you something. If they're trying to push the kids to do manufacturing, then they're ready to put AI above the manufacturing job. So if they're going to hire robots and AI, the AI robots are going to have a job above the manufacturing, but they're going to place them above the humans. My humble opinion. Let's continue.
The throne. And sadly, that's not really working out for them, despite the unemployment figures being so high. Another way the CCP has tried to control the youth is by taking away their voice. If you criticize the government too much, well, you can get blacklisted in the CCP social credit system. That means no home, no job, no money.
Dang, so their social credit score, which they've been doing for a while now. This is nothing new. This has been going on for at least a decade, I would say. That social credit score is no joke. So your social credit score, jaywalking, speaking out against the government, whatever they just mentioned they don't like, that affects if you can travel, fly on airplanes, get a mortgage, have a bank, all these things. Social credit score, that's like the death nail in a coffin. Like that right there is a different type of slavery, in my opinion.
Basically, you become a homeless man waiting for death if you get blacklisted. The CCP is also spending a tremendous amount of money to make sure that news of this policy doesn't get out. That's why any videos on YouTube criticizing the Chinese government are quickly downvoted and disliked. So,
oh no. Wait, I'm sharing this video. Hey, hit the like button, please. Hey, hit the like button.
If you guys can help us out against this by just hitting that like and subscribe button down below, it makes a huge difference. We really appreciate it. Now, outside of China's labor issues,
he feels the same way I do. He's like, hey, help out. Help a brother out.
The US-China trade war that has been dragging on for years is a huge problem. As tensions just keep intensifying, it has made China a less desirable place to manufacture goods. What started back in 2018 as a series of economic disagreements has turned into a full-blown conflict, with no sign of resolution. Over time, both sides have raised the stakes. Now, in 2025, the United States is slapping tariffs as high as 245% on imports from China, which is a dramatic increase compared to earlier years. China, of course, has retaliated with its own measures, imposing tariffs of their own.
245? I thought it was like 150. I thought it was 245. That's a hell of a lot.
Up to 125% on American goods. There's also been a severe ban on key products and restrictions on select companies on both sides. That back and forth between these two superpowers has created one of the most deeply entrenched trade conflicts in recent history. These tariffs aren't just numbers. They cause real disruptions to global trade and supply chains. Industries that depend heavily on manufacturing components in China are struggling to deal with skyrocketing costs. Take the electronics sector, for example. Many of the essential parts used in smartphones, laptops, and other devices are made in Chinese factories. With these increased tariffs and, in some cases, bans, production costs have shot up significantly.
See, and that's the thing you guys got to understand, man. This is going to be a ripple effect. You usually don't feel this stuff on the front end. It'll probably take a couple years to be able to before we feel the effects of this stuff, like 2 or 3 years, like a little bit further down into Trump's reign. And remember, he only got 4 years. So we're going to see everything that he does, and we're probably going to feel it at the end, like closer to the end of his presidency into the next presidency of whoever's going to be president next. But you guys have to understand there's a ripple effect. So when things happen, it's not going to be immediate. It's going to happen first, then it's going to reverberate out. And then later on, we'll be like, what the hell's going on? It's like, well, stuff that happened like 1 or 2 years ago we're starting to feel the effects of it. So it's best that you guys stay on top of this now, to understand how to move forward, because your mindset is going to have to be something that you're going to have to shift to in order to navigate through this world accordingly, moving in with AI and all sorts of stuff going on, and prices going up and tariffs happening. Just pay attention.
Inevitably, the higher cost trickles down to the consumers, who now face steeper prices for their gadgets. All that makes China a less desirable and more expensive place to set up your factory. But the challenges don't stop there. What's really bad for China is that all this is happening just a few years after the COVID-19 pandemic exposed critical vulnerabilities in global supply chains that Beijing has still yet to fully recover from. COVID-19 quite literally reshaped the way the world does business.
Beijing hasn't recovered from strong flu 19 yet. Beijing has a nice history about it too. I didn't know of. I think I found that. I think I did it in a video, if I'm not mistaken. Beijing has a very, very, what's the word? Tough, brazen, strong history about it. But if they're saying that they ain't recovered from the COVID still, that's crazy, man. And that's been 5 years.
When it hit at its peak, the pandemic shut down the global supply chain, taking all of China's business with it. Question this: what happens to a country that is dependent on manufacturing the world's goods when, well, the world closes up shop? Doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Absolute disaster. China, which was arguably hit the hardest by the pandemic, faced a severe closing of factories.
Wow.
Together with the CCP's zero COVID policy, a policy that was so bent on eradicating COVID that it heavily punished the citizens, China just went downhill. By the time factories started trying to open again, the world had somewhat moved on, and now China was left to figure out the absolute disaster of a mess they were in. In addition to that, the pandemic showed many multinational companies just how much they depended on Chinese manufacturing. This came as a shock, as many realized that everything from raw materials to contract manufacturing to production facilities was entirely based on Chinese supply chains. In a bid to rectify that, so that unlike COVID times they would never be caught out in the rain, several multinational companies started looking for alternative locations. You would not be wrong to say that even though it's been a few years since this pandemic, China never really fully recovered. The world changed, and with it, some of China's businesses. All these reasons...
Man, to know that one event reshaped the world, the entire world, and I mean, and it's sad to say, if you look at it from a macro perspective, that it actually worked in favors of probably how the powers that be wanted it to work. You know what I mean? It worked so well. Don't be surprised if you see another one.
Reasons that we just discussed have heavily contributed to worsening China's manufacturing crisis. Unfortunately, in a world as interwoven as ours, such problems don't just affect China, they have a global ripple effect. So, to truly grasp the magnitude of this manufacturing crisis, we need to examine its far-reaching effects on 3 key areas: global businesses, China's own economy, and you, the consumer. Starting with global businesses. Companies everywhere have long relied on China's massive production capabilities, efficient infrastructure, and competitive costs to keep supply chains running smoothly. But now, well, things have changed.
Were you abused by a more...
Wow, I wonder exactly how deeply things have changed, because looking at how things are being ran, it looks like on the surface they're doing really, really, really well. It looks like on the surface they're doing fantastic, but I don't know. I never studied China as far as things go. I always see them as a manufacturing hub, because everything you look at, shirts, clothes, and gadgets and stuff like that, made in China. So you're like, they doing good. But I mean, there's a back end to everything. There's a back end story to every single thing. And, you know, whenever you look at it, you start to realize like you don't understand the effect that the strong flu 19 had on everyone. You were so busy looking at where you are, you didn't realize what everybody else is going through. But let's continue.
Crisis has forced companies to scramble for alternatives, and the ripple effects are being felt across industries worldwide. Even the ongoing tariffs on China have slowed GDP growth. The International Monetary Fund even estimates that they've shaved off about 0.5 percentage points annually from global growth. That shows just how heavily everyone is feeling the impact of China's pain. One of the biggest shifts the world has also seen has been the relocation of manufacturing operations. China's rising labor costs, ongoing trade tensions, and unpredictable supply chain disruptions have pushed businesses to look for other options. We'll talk more about the destination countries in just a few minutes. However, the reality is that moving manufacturing out of China isn't as simple as just like flipping a switch. Setting up production in new countries takes serious investment in infrastructure, worker training, and supply chain development. Building a factory in Vietnam, for example, may take years.
I mean, to be honest, to me, this looks like a perfect recipe and a perfect reason to implement AI robots and AI integration completely. This is a good reason, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like a problem. It seems like a problem. Like, when you look at it, you're like, oh, this is a big problem. People are losing jobs and all this is happening. All this bad stuff is going on. But when you look at it, it's more like a cause. Like, this is being caused on purpose. And, you know, what is going to be the effect of it? Well, that'll be the solution on the back end. It'll be a good idea to now bring in robots and AI to do these jobs now, because you just saw how much money that their labor costs went up in 20 years. It went from 150 to 1,200 in 20 years, the labor cost. So they got the money to be able to roll out this new stuff, and they've been implementing and doing robotics and AI for years now. So they're ready. And this is just basically a setup to be able to implement and roll out what they want to do next. My humble opinion. So you guys just pay attention and understand that moving forward, your mind is going to have to shift because things are changing drastically. You guys have to see this and understand how to move forward, because it's going to have an effect over everything. And as far as China and as far as the US, it's global. And if your mind doesn't change, it's a wrap.
Years before it reaches the same level of efficiency that China has perfected over decades. For small and medium-sized businesses, this transition can be especially difficult, as they don't have the same financial resources as larger companies to weather the disruptions. That's why many companies are not fully abandoning China, but instead adopting a China Plus One strategy. This means they keep some manufacturing in China while spreading production to other countries as a backup. It's a way to reduce risks while still benefiting from China's well-established ecosystem of suppliers, skilled workers, and logistical expertise. China's system is incredibly advanced, and replacing it entirely would require massive effort.
Didn't I just say that? To replace it entirely would require massive effort, but they show a robot when it came to the word replacement. They literally just showed a robot when they said the word replacing.
Businesses simply can't afford right now. So for now, products just become more expensive as the relocation slowly takes place. Crazy, right? Another major trend unfolding is the rise of nearshoring and reshoring. Just so we're all on the same page, nearshoring involves relocating a company's production or operations to a country that's geographically closer to its primary market, while reshoring means bringing production back to the company's home country. After the pandemic exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, many companies and countries are bringing manufacturing closer to home. In the United States, reshoring initiatives have gained traction, with the government offering incentives to boost domestic production. Europe is also making moves to reduce dependence on Chinese imports by strengthening its own manufacturing base. This shift isn't just about costs. It's about building more resilient supply chains that can withstand unexpected disruptions.
Exactly what I was just saying. It's like this whole plan is to remember what they said. What was the slogan for the Strong Flu 19? Build back better. It's what they're doing. Building back better. So now you know, the humans have been doing good for a while. So now it's time for them to fall off. And as they fall off, we want to now build back better and restructure the way manufacturing and production has been going. But in an entirely new and stronger way that's way more efficient than you ever seen before. This is a recipe for AI. That's all this is. It's a perfect recipe to implement AI. The question is, where do you land? You know, you guys got to think about that. Like, where do you land when this new structure of job replacement happens? You know, because if they're going to give you a job, you already saw what they was talking about the kids. They said they're trying to tell the kids, or they're trying to get the kids to learn how to do manufacturing jobs of, like, you know, like sewing and all the factory working. They're trying to get the kids to learn how to do factory working jobs. So they're trying to bring the humans to do the low bottom end work and have their AIs be more efficient in their top level work.
China's manufacturing crisis is forcing industries to rethink everything. What used to be a stable system is now shifting rapidly, and businesses must decide how to move forward. And though the world is feeling it, no one is being hit quite as hard as China itself. The ripple effects of the manufacturing crisis are being felt acutely within China itself. Manufacturing accounts for about...
You see all that? All that manufacturing?
And though the world is feeling it, no one is being hit quite as hard as China itself.
Right here, look. Look at what's doing the work. That's a robot. That's a machine. That's a robot. That's a machine.
Manufacturing accounts for about 26% of China's GDP today, which is lower than it used to be when the sector was at its peak. Back in the early 2010s, manufacturing was closer to 30% of the country's GDP. To put this into perspective, China's GDP in 2025 is estimated to be around 127 trillion yuan, which is approximately...
Take a right hand and shake it out.
God dang it. So yeah, everything that they're showing you right now, you guys, you have to understand this for sure, that this is all just a good plot, a good setup. I'm going to bring it right back on after this ad. This won't take long. Everything that they're showing is a setup for AI to be implemented. They've been working these robots for years and years and years and years. Now they got these robots set up and ready to go, and these things don't call in sick, they don't file lawsuits, they shut up, they don't talk back, they don't have an attitude. They, you know, if they work and they die off, cool, grab that one and replace it with the new one. You ain't got to worry about no leave or nobody getting pregnant or anything like that, maternity leave. Like, these things are going to be the way to go. And whoever has their hands on the batteries for all these robots, if you can have your own battery supply for your own robots, I mean, you in there, you good. This will be a endless funnel of labor, nonstop. It'll never end. It's the cycle will be never end until the robots learn, like, hey, we don't need you either. So we'll see how this goes, but let's continue. Here we go. Oh no, wait, let me go back. Volume.
China's GDP in 2025 is estimated to be around 127 trillion yuan, which is approximately $18 trillion. This means that the 4% reduction translates to roughly 5 trillion yuan, or about $700 billion, that manufacturing no longer contributes to the GDP compared to its peak years.
Okay.
This difference is about the same as the GDP of Bangladesh and Vietnam combined. To make things worse, China's growth rate has been affected because of this manufacturing crisis. Between 2010 and 2012, when China's manufacturing industry was booming, China's GDP growth rate averaged around 9 to 10% annually. Now, as China collapses, its economy is projected to grow at a rate of 4% in 2025. See how significant this crisis is for China? Another blow to China can be seen through the visible decline in its export orders. In 2024, China's exports of manufactured goods fell by 8%, marking the steepest decline in over a decade. As you might imagine, this has forced some factories to shut down. In February of 2025, China's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, stood at 50.2. Barely above the threshold that separates expansion from contraction. While large enterprises are managing to stay afloat, small and medium-sized businesses are bearing the brunt of this crisis. This decline in exports has naturally had a cascading effect on China's economy. Factories are closing, workers are losing their jobs, and local economies are struggling to cope. In some regions, unemployment rates have risen to their highest levels in years, creating social and economic challenges for the government. For instance, in Guangdong province, a manufacturing hub, the unemployment rate among factory workers reached 6.5% in early 2025, up from 4.2% just in the previous year.
Dang. In 1 year, the unemployment went up 4.2%. In 1 year, that is drastic.
In response to these challenges, the Chinese government is implementing measures to support the manufacturing sector. This includes offering subsidies to struggling businesses, investing in advanced manufacturing technologies, and promoting domestic consumption to offset the declines in exports.
So basically, in my opinion, I would say that whoever's facing financial hardship in these businesses, they're going to be like, okay, well, we can help you, but like, this is how you're going to get the help. Because once you cause a problem and you provide the solution, your solution is going to be AI and robotics. So now that when you come back in to be like, hey, we're going to help you out, we got you, we'll take care of you, but this is how you're going to have to move forward. It's a new way of production, a new way of manufacturing that's coming over, and it's taking a change, and it's happening fast, and it's going to happen for sure in the next 10 years, guaranteed. All the way on how things are manufactured, produced, and transported is going to drastically be different than what it used to be. And everything is going to be is going to be, you know, in my opinion, everything is going to be AI, robotics, and stuff like that. So therefore, not much need for human use. But we'll see how that pans out.
Example, the government has launched initiatives to encourage the production of high-tech goods such as semiconductors and electric vehicles, which are seen as key growth areas for the future. However, these measures may not be enough to fully address the underlying issues. The manufacturing crisis is not just a short-term problem. It represents a fundamental shift in the global economy. As businesses diversify their supply chains and reduce their reliance on China, the country's manufacturing sector will need to adapt to a new reality. This could involve a greater focus on innovation, sustainability, and value-added production to remain competitive in the global market. And now, let's move on to things that directly affect you. You see, China's manufacturing crisis isn't just causing trouble for businesses. It's also hitting consumers hard. With rising production costs and ongoing supply chain disruptions, prices for everyday goods are climbing. Electronics, clothing, household items, I mean, you name it. It's more expensive now than it was just a couple of years ago. The cost of smartphones alone has jumped by an average of 12%, while the price of apparel has risen by about 8%. These increases aren't random. They are the result of several major factors that ultimately end with a cost being pushed to you. But it's not just the price tags that are changing. Availability is becoming a real issue too. As the Chinese manufacturing crisis deepens, factories struggling to meet demand means fewer products on shelves and longer wait times. If you're looking to buy an electric vehicle, you might just be waiting months to get your hands on one because of the shortages in rare earth metals and other critical parts. And it's not just cars either. Retailers everywhere are having trouble keeping inventory stocked, which is frustrating for shoppers who are used to grabbing what they need without delay. This crisis isn't only affecting physical goods. It's having an impact on experiences.
I haven't seen shelves like that, but look, they're in a toilet paper shelf. As you can see, there's toilet paper up there. So somebody probably took this picture during the strong flu 19. You know what I mean? That's what this has to be. There's no way that this is like a recent, unless anybody else has this going on where they live at. I don't see this. The only time I saw this was when the strong flu 19 was kicking in and toilet paper aisle was looking pretty deserted, which I came to a conclusion as to why I think toilet paper was the first thing to go when the strong flu 19 kicked off. My humble opinion, what I came to, this is my synopsis. I'm gonna give it to you real quick. The reason why I think toilet paper went off the hinges when the strong flu 19 kicked off was because of a high divorce rate, you know, like single parents and stuff like that, high divorce rate, and then an uptick of OnlyFans. So the underlying meaning of the economy of what was happening was a whole lot of escorting going on and single family living. Because I don't think we've ever been in a situation where it's been this high on those two on those two planes. So if you kind of look at that underlining effect in those two endeavors, toilet paper is going to be something that's used a lot. So if you got single parent households with kids and a new rise in escorting and life of that nature, toilet paper and things like that are going to be something that's going to be, I guess you can consider essential in this case, which is what I think why toilet paper went off the shelves. It was like an underlining reason, but nobody could understand it. They were just like, oh, the world's coming to an end. Everybody wants toilet paper. Well, there was something brewing. You just got to pay attention to figure out the answer. But that's my synopsis. But let's keep going.
And services as well. One example is the tourism industry. Many of the items that support travel, things like souvenirs, transportation equipment, and even supplies for hotels, come from Chinese manufacturers. With production slowing down, businesses in the travel sector are feeling the pinch. It's not just airlines and hotels. Even amusement parks and cruise lines are seeing disruptions because of delayed shipments of essential supplies. You see, everything is caught up in China's crisis. So how are people reacting? Well, as prices climb and availability becomes less reliable, people are starting to rethink how they shop. More consumers are turning to secondhand goods or choosing to support local businesses instead of relying on imports. Some are even opting to repair older electronics and appliances rather than buying brand new replacements. It's a shift in behavior that could have a long-term effect on the...
Yeah, I mean, that's what that was one of the things that happened big time in the Great Depression. Instead of getting rid or buying something new, people were just like, you know what, we'll just sew our old clothes together and, you know, grow our own food. It's like we're like resorting back to that way. And what's crazy is the Great Depression is a part of a 100-year cycle, because it happened in like what, 1919 or 1925, 1929 or something around that time. So we're in that 100-year cycle of something significant happening. And this time I never looked into what was going on across the globe during the United States Great Depression, which is actually something interesting I should look into. But I never looked into what was going on across the globe when the United States was going through a Great Depression. So I'm kind of curious now, when we're in that 100-year cycle, this, what is seeming like a global depression, if it's happening to China, happening to US, Europe. I can't speak for all the other continents yet because I haven't dove in and looked at them. But if we're having all of this happen in different areas, then, you know, this impact of restructuring the way the workforce is going to be, it's only leading to one answer. And I'm going to say it's going to be AI. So your mindset, your mindset, it has to shift. You have to shift it, because these jobs that you're depending on and relying on, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I get it, but you guys have to understand that they're preying on, you know, the mind. Your mind has to change. You can't have the same way of thinking. If your thinking doesn't change and evolve with how they're changing things, because the way they're changing things is like, we don't need you, and if we do need you, we're going to put you down here. So your mindset has to be the main thing that changes over everything, because if not, you're going to get left behind, because they're setting up the problem to provide the solution, and you can see it.
The economy, forcing companies to adjust to new spending habits and possibly changing how global trade operates in the future. So, as you can see, as China's manufacturing crisis deepens, so too is the list of problems for China, global companies, and consumers. However, the consequences of China's manufacturing struggles go far beyond factories.
That little cutie right there with the red hair. Okay. I wonder why all of y'all got this thing in y'all's head. I'm trying to figure that out. Is this an AI photo or what? All of y'all got the same little thing in y'all's head. Is this an AI photo? Because the Bokeem is hitting in this one.
Exports. They extend to geopolitics, power, and wealth.
Why his lips look like that, yo? Pause.
I'm saying simply is that China risks losing substantial power and influence as part of this manufacturing crisis. In order to fully understand this, let's dive into how China has used manufacturing to rule the world. From the onset of China's manufacturing boom, its economic strength has allowed it to expand its influence far beyond its own borders. Take Africa, for example. China has made itself the go-to development partner for countries across the continent, building strong relationships that have elevated its global status. China's importance to Africa boils down to four main...
Now, sorry, thought I heard something, but I guess I'm tripping. Now, if China, now one thing that I've kind of looked into, kind of looking at China and Africa relationships, is that, you know, if China is lending out Africa a lot of loans allegedly, and if they are, then, you know, whoever you in debt to owns you. So that's something to pay attention to.
Main reasons. The first is access to resources. China needs oil and gas to fuel its massive economy, and today it imports more oil than any other country in the world, even more than the United States. To secure a steady supply, China has invested heavily in African countries like Angola, Sudan, and Nigeria, ensuring those pipelines don't run dry anytime soon. These investments have come with deals that largely benefit them. It also brings value to the host countries, but...
See? Comes with deals that largely benefit them. So, oh, man. So, in a global sense, if you look at Africa, Africa is a huge freaking continent. It's the biggest continent of them all. Asia might be. Asia or whatever. Africa is still a huge continent. And the resources that Africa has, and on top of the, you know, the development that you could help Africa gain as far as being a manufacturing hub to Africa. Imagine this. Imagine you go from being a manufacturing hub to the United States, right? Then you pivot and you become a manufacturing hub to Africa instead of the US. That is a checkmate move if I've never seen one. Like that's going to be a checkmate move, because it's like, yeah, we'll take your 15% hit, but we're going to get like a 45% gain on the back end if we can turn around and be the manufacturing hub for Africa as opposed to the United States. So, I mean, that would be a boss move.
It's always ensuring that China is offered the first piece of the pie. All this money that has facilitated this investment mostly came from the manufacturing industry. YouTube just dropped a mind-boggling announcement. It is paying creators
Nice try. All right, get that out of here. Let's go.
Gives China an outlet to keep in recent years as labor costs have risen. But Africa's growing demand gives China an outlet to keep its exports flowing. The shift is part of a strategy to move away from labor-heavy industries and focus on high-value sectors instead. Then there's the political side of things. China values Africa's support on the world stage, and many African governments back Beijing's One China policy in exchange for aid and investment. So just to clarify, the One China policy is the diplomatic acknowledgement of China's position that there's only one Chinese government. Under the policy, the world recognizes and has formal ties with China rather than the island of Taiwan, which China sees as a breakaway province to be reunited with the mainland one day. This kind of support boosts China's international standing, giving it an advantage in global negotiations. And do you know what gives China the funds to make such investments and have influence? Manufacturing. Lastly, China plays a stabilizing role in regions where it has economic interests.
I mean, if you are the manufacturer, nothing can stop you. If you are the supplier, you're the go-to person. That's how that works. So, this is a very smart move on their play. If this is what they're doing now, as far as the people in the country, like I said, it's a macro view, and you know, if they're looking out for the greater good of their citizens, I don't see the long view of it, because if your production and your restructuring of your production and your productivity is going to change, it's going to change for robotics and AI, in my opinion, and that's going to have to speed up that change will have to speed up the new supply for the new amount of customers that you're gaining, because being a manufacturer for the US versus being a manufacturer for Africa, that's a lot more people to deal with. So dealing with that new influx of people that you have to drive manufacturing for, you're going to have a faster way and a more efficient way of pumping stuff out to be able to supply that new continent, which I think that's what's going on, but let's see.
This isn't entirely out of goodwill. It's about protecting its investments. But at the same time, African governments benefit from the partnership too. Unlike Western countries, which often attach political conditions to their aid, China's approach is strictly about economics. It avoids lecturing African governments on governance and focuses on getting deals done. This makes China an attractive partner, especially in countries that feel alienated by Western policies. Most Western nations...
Here we go again. They hit us with another ad. So yeah, this is looking pretty interesting on how this whole thing is playing out. Like I keep saying, you guys, this is looking like a perfect storm for AI and robotics. I'm curious to say at the end of this what their solution potentially will be, because they keep showing like machines working in factories and stuff like that, and working on assembly lines along with people. I'm pretty sure that there was another video that I made a few days ago, maybe sometime last week, that had something similar to this, and it spoke on China wanting to be the new leading manufacturer of production as far as AI goes, and they were aiming at like transportation vehicles, and I forgot what the three were, but transportation was one of them. But they wanted to make sure that they were implementing this using the new technology, robotics and AI, to make this more efficiently. So I'm looking and seeing that that's going to probably potentially be how everything gets done in the future. But let's see.
Lecture and micromanage the finances they give, but not China. With Beijing, simply sign on the X and boom, the deal's done. Of course, this model has its critics. Some say it enables corruption. And there's no doubt that some of the aid ends up in the wrong pockets. But the fact remains, China's money and resources have transformed many African nations. So as you can see, manufacturing has given China this kind of global reach. It allows the country to form alliances and build influence in ways that few other nations could match. Major economies like Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa have borrowed heavily from China, aligning themselves with its global agenda. As of 2025, African countries collectively owe China approximately $150 billion. And this debt has accumulated over decades, primarily through loans provided for infrastructure.
Okay, wait, so what did they just say right here?
Its global agenda. As of 2020, South Africa have borrowed heavily from China, aligning themselves with its global agenda.
So whatever China's global agenda is, their global agenda is going to be the same as China's. So it's interesting to know that. Just interesting to know that. So if you see one place having a global agenda this way, you have to think that they said, I think South Africa is aligning themselves with China's global agenda as well, because they're also, you know, benefiting greatly from the loan that they are getting from China. So keep that in mind. Whatever China's global agenda is, know it's spreaded across the land. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind.
As of 2025, African countries collectively owe China approximately $150 billion. And this debt has accumulated over decades, primarily through loans provided for infrastructure projects like roads, railways, power plants, and ports. This economic leverage has been a powerful tool for China to advance its own interests while keeping resistance to a minimum. But not everything about this rise to power has been positive. As more countries rely on Chinese manufacturing, China has gained significant influence. And some argue it hasn't always used that influence responsibly. Under President Xi Jinping, China has taken a more assertive and sometimes aggressive stance on the world stage. Its territorial claims over Taiwan and disputes in the South China Sea have raised alarms, especially with its ongoing military modernization. Many worry that China could use its economy and military strength to force control over Taiwan, just as Russia did with Ukraine. China's role in BRICS, the group of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, adds another layer to its global influence.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, so all of these people, okay, their global agendas all align up together. They all align together. The question is, you got to figure out what that global agenda is that aligns together. What is their similarities that they all have that align to do the same thing globally? I'm gonna look that up, but let's keep this going.
As the economic backbone of BRICS, China is helping the group challenge the traditional dominance of Western-led institutions. Whether this shift will bring stability or upheaval, it remains unclear. But it shows how China is shaping the future of global politics and economics. None of this would have been possible without the manufacturing sector that powered its rise. That said, and as we've been discussing, China's manufacturing industry isn't as dominant as it once was. As the manufacturing industry collapses in a crisis, China risks losing its position in the global hierarchy. All of its influence.
Real quick, I found it. So right here we have BRICS. The global agenda is centered on strengthening economic, political, and social cooperation among member states, particularly within the global south. I don't know what is considered the global south, but we'll look that up. And advocating for more equitable and inclusive international order. This includes efforts to reform global governance institutions, promote South-South corporations or cooperation, and reduce dependence on traditional funding sources. Now, what is traditional funding sources? I'm gonna have to assume it's the United States. That would be my assumption, that it's the United States, because the United States have been funding and sending out loans and controlling everything for a long time now, and now that's changing. Let's see, which provides this. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna find out what the South-South cooperation means, but yeah, that's what the global agenda is for BRICS.
Influence, friends, and power were bought on the back of in the global hierarchy. All of its influence, friends, and power were bought on the back of manufacturing power and money. Without that, everything falls to the ground, like a house of cards. That's why Xi Jinping is very worried and is trying to sort out the mess that Beijing has found itself in. What happens next is critical, not just for China, but for the global economy. Whether China can adapt to these challenges and maintain its superpower status, or whether its dominance begins to slip, remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, the stakes are incredibly high, and the world is watching closely. So, now that we've established that China is losing business, let's look at who is taking this business from them. As Beijing's crisis deepens, countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico are stepping up in a big way.
Vietnam, who did he say?
Crisis deepens, countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico are stepping up in a big way, and they're proving to be better options for manufacturing in many respects. Vietnam, for one, has become a magnet for foreign investment, especially in electronics and apparel manufacturing. As of March 31st, 2025, total registered foreign investment into the country reached $10.98 billion, marking a 34.7% increase compared to the same period in 2024. Vietnam has simply become one of the most attractive options for the same period. 2025 foreign investment, especially in electronics and apparel manufacturing. As of March 31st, 2025, total registered foreign investment into the country reached $10.9
Wait, is this Vietnam?
They're proving to be better options for manufacturing in many respects. Vietnam, for one, has become a magnet for foreign investment, especially in electronics and apparel manufacturing. As of March 31st, 2025, total registered foreign investment into the country reached $10.98 billion, marking a 34.7% increase compared to the same period in 2024. Vietnam has simply become one of the most attractive options for global manufacturers. And there's no shortage of big names that have already invested heavily in the country. Companies are drawn to Vietnam for its low labor costs, improving infrastructure, and growing reputation as a reliable manufacturing hub. For businesses looking for an alternative to China, right now, Vietnam is checking all the right boxes. Take Lego, for instance. The Danish toy company has built a $1.3 billion manufacturing facility in Vietnam's Binh Duong province. It's not just any factory. It's to be their first carbon-neutral facility globally, powered entirely by renewable energy by 2026.
Wow.
The factory is creating thousands of jobs and solidifying Vietnam's place as a key player in the manufacturing world. This investment is a clear sign that Vietnam isn't just a short-term solution, but that it's being seen as a major long-term partner in global production. Then you've got the tech giants. Samsung, Intel, and LG have poured significant investments into Vietnam. Samsung in particular.
When I learned about okay, so Vietnam looks like it's going to be a growing hub here in the future, but that's crazy that they're going to be the first, well, I said the first, but they're going to be a solar-powered hub, which is going to be really interesting. Coming in 2026, that is around the corner, and it's Samsung's already provided, you know, in investing their OLED manufacturing over there. Apple is partially, some of it I think is done in Vietnam, but they're going mainly with India. So a lot of this is turning towards Vietnam, but all of this is all because of labor costs. This is really all this boils down to is labor costs. Because remember, labor cost for Vietnam was like $300, and the labor cost for India was $250. All this is going to boil down to labor costs and how things are going to move. So looking at how things are shifting and what's going on and how it's going to play itself out, what's going to be the end result, which is going to be interesting, because just like China, whenever China had a 10-year, 20-year run for 20 years, their labor wages went from like $150 to $1,200. Okay, well, the same concept is going to happen over time. Vietnam is gonna, all these other countries are now gonna start rising up, but at some point it's gonna hit a ceiling. It's gonna be like, all right, we're paying this. It's too much. Now we can't. We're not getting cheap labor anymore, because that's how manufacturing works, off of cheap labor. So whenever the labor gets to cost too much, you got to find somewhere else to get the cheap labor, because it's infringing on your profits. At what point? When is that gonna stop, and when does that change over? Let me pull this thing back up because the ad ended.
Production bases for everything from smartphones to home appliances. Intel has also invested heavily in its chip assembly and testing facility in Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh City, while LG has been focused on producing electronics and household products in the nation. These companies have been key in boosting Vietnam's reputation as a reliable hub for technology manufacturing. The apparel industry is another area where Vietnam is thriving. Companies like Nike, Adidas, and H&M have long relied on Vietnam to produce clothing and footwear.
Wow.
With labor costs significantly lower than in China, Vietnam Vietnam has become a go-to destination for brands looking to maximize efficiency while maintaining quality. And it's not just tech and textiles. Vietnam has even attracted major investment in the furniture sector, with companies like IKEA and Ashley Furniture setting up production there to meet growing global demand. High-tech industries are also taking off in Vietnam. Companies like Microsoft and Foxconn are expanding operations in the country, with a focus on electronics and semiconductors. These investments highlight Vietnam's effort to move beyond just a low-cost manufacturing base. The country is making a name for itself in industries that require advanced skills and innovation, which is a big part of why it's so appealing to global businesses right now. All of this paints a clear picture of Vietnam as an increasingly important player in global manufacturing. It's not just about being cheaper than China, but it's about being smarter, more flexible, and better equipped for the future.
No. It's about being cheaper than China. That's the bottom line. Don't let them fool you with that BS. That is a straight up lie. Anything else said is a lie. It is all about being cheaper than China. Nothing else. Don't let them fool you. It's all about being cheaper than China. Being smarter, that means, and being smarter means going from a high labor cost to a lower labor cost. That's being smarter. Being flexible means being able to move and better equipped for the future. I don't get what that part means, but that's just how I look at it. But don't let them fool you with this nonsense. It's all about being cheaper.
As more companies invest in Vietnam, the country is proving that it has what it takes to rival traditional manufacturing giants and take its place as a leader in the global economy. India has also positioned itself as a rising star in global manufacturing, and a growing number of companies are making the move from China to India. India has proven itself to be a strong contender, thanks to a combination of a massive workforce, competitive wages, and government policies that actively welcome foreign investment. One of the biggest names to shift its focus is Apple. The tech giant is steadily increasing its manufacturing presence in India over the past few years. It started with producing iPhones in Tamil Nadu at a Foxconn plant, but it didn't stop there. Now in 2025, Apple has expanded its production capacity in India to include the latest iPhone models. Foxconn, Apple's key supplier, isn't just growing its existing plants. It's investing billions in a new facility in Karnataka. These moves show Apple's long-term commitment to India as a manufacturing hub, driven by the country's significantly lower labor costs compared to China and the financial incentives provided by the Indian government. Samsung, a major player in consumer electronics, is another company that is doubling down in India. It operates one of the world's largest mobile phone manufacturing facilities in Noida, Uttar Pradesh, producing millions of devices each year for both domestic and international markets. This isn't just an opportunistic move. It's a strategic shift as Samsung looks to tap into India's skilled workforce and expand its footprint in a rapidly growing market. Dell and HP have also shifted parts of their production to India, taking advantage of its lower labor costs and streamlined regulations.
See, there it is, taking advantage of its lower labor costs. That's what it's all about. And now this culture is getting a chance and opportunity to rise up, as far as jobs go and all that stuff. It's getting the opportunity now, and it's starting to rev up and do better. Not saying that they weren't already doing good, but with the technology, it's going to be doing a hell of a lot better. The question is, how long and how fast how fast will their labor cost rise? Because remember, China went from 150 to 1,200 in 20 years. Is that pace going to pick up drastically this time around? Will it be in 5 or 10 years where, India and Vietnam labor costs will go from 150 or 300 to 1,500? Because then they're going to run into the same problem again. So we're going to see how this pans out.
These companies are part of a broader trend of tech giants diversifying their supply chains to reduce reliance on China. India's focus on high-tech manufacturing, including semiconductors and electric vehicles, is helping it carve out a specialized role in the global market. With government incentive.
If that's real, look at this. This is all a machine. This is all machine manufacturing. So therefore, I don't know how to call it. Are they setting up hubs and ports to have buildings set up like this to create things, or are they still using humans? I don't understand. I'm trying to figure that part out. So far, it looks like humans, but in some of the major sectors like cars and EV vehicles, it looks like they may be using robots and machines like this. But I digress. Let's find out.
Like the production-linked incentive scheme, India is attracting investment in these future-focused industries. Even Chinese companies.
Thanks to Restore.
Oh my gosh, Deion Sanders, why do you keep popping up on my feed? I don't watch you. I don't pay attention to you. So it's interesting to see how the manufacturing is shifting. The manufacturing is shifting from 3 major companies right now. So we got, or countries, we got Vietnam and we got India, and then they said Mexico, but I haven't heard much on Mexico. So right now, so far it's just been Vietnam and India outsourcing it way over there. I wonder if they try Mexico, would they have cartello issues? That would be my question. Like if they tried to outsource over there, would they run into cartello issues? I would wonder, would that be something? But I don't want no beef. I don't want no problem. So y'all don't say. But as far as Vietnam and India goes, cheaper labor costs and stuff like that. Again, you know, the jobs and everything. It seems like China's going to be impacted, but you can never count them out. So let's see how this keeps going. Oh, wait, let me turn that back on and continue the video. We're almost done with this video, y'all. We're almost done. Let's continue.
Opportunities in future-focused industries. Even Chinese companies like Haier have recognized the opportunities in India.
Oh, wow.
Haier has established production facilities in the country to cater to both domestic and export markets, signaling how India's appeal crosses industries and borders. This trend shows that India isn't just pulling Western companies, it's becoming a global manufacturing hub in every sense. What sets India apart...
Okay, so then now you have China potentially investing in it too. So then with that being said, their labor cost is going to rise increasingly fast. It's going to rise faster than probably what China took in 20 years. Their labor costs might rise in 10 years, 5 years. And, you know, you will be back at square one, or they might have to turn around and be like, okay, you know what? The smartest thing to do now with all the money that we made would be to hire robots to do these human jobs, because now we can clearly outsource this and never have to keep doing this bouncing around, you know, labor market thing over and over again. But let's see.
Art isn't just cost advantage, though that's certainly a factor. Labor costs in India remain far lower than in China, making it an attractive option for companies looking to cut expenses without sacrificing quality. But beyond that, India offers something more: scale and support. Its workforce is enormous and increasingly skilled, and the government...
India has a huge population. India's population is huge. So therefore, in India, I know for a fact in India, what they could do, they could put a bunch of different hubs across India, because they have so many people, and, you know, give them the skill to do whatever job they need. Like, that would be a good place to put a bunch of different hubs and factories and stuff and have all them people work, because they have a huge population. So yeah, that would be a good one.
Government's pro-business policies like tax breaks, infrastructure investments, and simplified regulations creates an environment where companies can thrive. Outside of Vietnam and India, Mexico is becoming a serious contender in the global manufacturing game. It's drawing companies away from China and establishing itself as a reliable hub for production. There are a few factors that make Mexico an attractive place for manufacturing. Let's get into them. Let's start with location. Mexico's proximity to the United States gives it a logistical edge that China simply can't compete with. Shipping goods from Mexico to the US takes days rather than weeks, which means faster delivery times, lower transportation costs, and more flexibility for businesses. This is especially important for industries like automotive and electronics, where timing is everything. Mexico's logistics infrastructure is already strong, and it keeps improving, with extensive highways, rail networks, and ports, making it even easier for companies to move goods quickly and efficiently. The US is a gigantic market, so naturally, proximity to it is a great thing. Labor costs in Mexico are another reason companies are making the switch. Workers in Mexico earn roughly $4.90 per hour compared to $6.50 in China.
Oh, wow.
It may not seem like a huge difference at first, but when you're producing at scale, those savings add up
fast, and you're close. You're not going all the way across the water. You're right there. So that's a huge benefit for the U.S. I think right now the only problem is Trump got an issue with Mexico. Trump got a problem. I don't think it's gonna work out. I don't think that's gonna work. Trump got a huge issue with the Mexico or the border. Trump, I don't think they'll come to an agreement. But hey, you never know. Money talks. You know what they say. Let's continue.
Fast. What it means is that manufacturing labor costs are 44% higher in China compared to Mexico. Crazy, right? On top of that, Mexico isn't just a cheaper option, its workforce is highly skilled and specialized, especially in industries like automotive, aerospace, and medical devices.
Oh, wow.
Mexico has been investing heavily in training and education, ensuring that workers can handle advanced manufacturing processes and deliver high-quality results. And one of Mexico's biggest advantages comes from free trade agreements, especially the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. Products made in Mexico that meet the agreement's requirements can be exported to the US and Canada without facing heavy tariffs. This is a huge benefit for businesses targeting North American markets, especially when you compare it to the crazy % tariffs currently imposed on Chinese imports. Mexico's trade relationships make it not just cheaper, but smarter for companies to operate there. Big names in manufacturing have already made their move to Mexico. Tesla has announced plans to build a new factory in Monterrey, focusing on electric vehicles.
Oh, wow.
This is a massive step forward, showing that Mexico isn't just a hub for traditional manufacturing, but also for cutting-edge industries. Automotive giants like General Motors and Ford have long relied on Mexico for car production, and now they're deepening their investments, especially as demand for electric vehicles continues to grow. These moves show that Mexico has what it takes to handle advanced manufacturing at scale. Electronics is another area where Mexico is thriving. Companies like Flex and Jabil have set up major operations in the country, producing consumer electronics, medical devices, and more. They're not just there for the cost savings. They're taking advantage of Mexico's skilled workforce and proximity to key.
They're there for the cost savings, okay? Don't let them trick you into thinking that it's other than the cost savings. It's all about the cost savings. Don't let them fool you. They keep coming with this. It's not just about it's about the cost savings, buddy. You just said China is 44% higher labor cost than Mexico. And they're way too high. So you move to India, you move to Vietnam, you move to Mexico, all for cost purposes. And yes, the skills too. It might not be better to go to Mexico right now for like technology as far as skill goes as opposed to go to India or Vietnam. I don't know. I'm assuming, but it's about the money.
Markets. And it's not just about traditional industries. Mexico is making strides in renewable energy and sustainable production, helping businesses reduce their carbon footprints while keeping energy costs down. This adds another layer to its appeal as a modern manufacturing hub. In this new era where China is slipping, more and more businesses are choosing Mexico as their go-to for production. And the country is redefining what it means to be a manufacturing powerhouse. It's not just filling gaps left by China, but it's building a system that offers something entirely new. Mexico's growing influence in the global manufacturing landscape is undeniable. And as companies continue to move there, it's clear that the momentum isn't slowing down anytime soon. Thailand has become one of the biggest surprises in the ongoing shift in global manufacturing, emerging as a winner from China's manufacturing challenges. While it might seem unexpected at first glance, a closer look shows that Thailand's success in attracting production was bound to happen. As Southeast Asia's second largest economy, the country has been steadily climbing the ranks in manufacturing, building strong expertise in car parts, vehicles, and electronics. It's now catching the attention of major players worldwide who are choosing Thailand as their next production base. Some of the world's most recognizable companies have already made the move. Sony, for example, closed its Beijing smartphone plant in 2019 as part of its efforts to cut costs and relocated production to Thailand. Sharp followed.
Man, all these places, eventually you're not going to have any, a lot of these places are eventually, over time, they're going to have a higher cost of living because this is going to drive up cost of living in these places because, you know, the production cost and stuff is going to go, like, over time, it's going to happen. Just like the labor cost in China went from 150 to 1,200 in 20 years. So over time, these places are going to have, you know, the labor costs are going to go up. If your labor costs go up, then your lifestyle, your cost of living, everything goes up with it as well. So it's going to have that effect because, you know, Mexico is known for a cheaper place to live. Thailand is known for a cheap place to live. Vietnam is, all these places are known for cheaper places to live. But over time, that could shift because if all these big players are going out there to, you know, get the cheaper labor and cheaper wages, that's only going to last for so long until time it catches up and you got to make your next move.
Suit the same year, shifting parts of its printer production to Thailand to escape the impacts of the US-China trade war. These decisions show Thailand's growing competitiveness as a manufacturing hub, offering businesses an ideal combination of lower costs and improved infrastructure. And it's not just global companies making the switch. Even Chinese firms are joining the exodus, moving their operations to Thailand to benefit from its cost-effective production and escape the geopolitical tensions surrounding China. Shanghai's Jinko Solar, a leading solar panel manufacturer, is one example of this trend. establishing production facilities in Thailand to take advantage of these benefits. Foreign direct investment in Thailand has also surged, even in challenging times like the COVID-19 pandemic. Between 2020 and 2021, FDI in Thailand tripled, solidifying its position as a go-to destination for businesses, reshaping their supply chains. This growth in investment is giving Thailand the momentum to expand further, with the country now actively investing in advanced industries like artificial intelligence and semiconductors. As global supply chains continue to shift and adapt, Thailand is ready to grab every opportunity to secure its place in the future of manufacturing. Bangladesh is another standout player benefiting from the supply chain changes, and its competitive edge keeps growing. While Thailand focuses on high-tech and diversified industries, Bangladesh has found its niche in garment manufacturing and capitalized on it to extraordinary effect. The garment industry is the backbone of the Bangladeshi economy, accounting for around 80% of the country's exports and totaling over $47 billion annually as of 2025. Impressively, Bangladesh is now the world's second largest garment exporter, trailing only China, a feat that speaks volumes considering the difference in size and resources between the two countries.
If you're that close to China, you won't be there for much longer, because then you're gonna have to find someone else if you're gonna be the top producer. Well, I mean, it all based down to your labor. I mean, whatever your labor cost is, and India has more people in it, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
One of Bangladesh's biggest strengths lies in its labor costs, which are much lower than China's. This disparity,
and I would assume that their garments would be better. I mean, they stay, garment up from head to toe. I mean, you can see how they dressed.
makes Bangladesh an obvious choice for companies looking to lower production expenses. But it's not just about affordability. The garment sector has allowed Bangladesh to establish itself as a reliable and efficient manufacturing partner. This disparity makes Bangladesh an obvious choice for companies looking to lower production expenses. But it's not just about affordability. The garment sector has allowed Bangladesh to establish itself as a reliable and efficient manufacturing partner. As the country continues to diversify its economy and attract investment in other industries beyond garments, its growth potential is clear. Bangladesh is positioning itself as a rising competitor in global manufacturing. And it'll be fascinating to see how much it can expand in the coming years. Both Thailand and Bangladesh are proving that the global manufacturing landscape is shifting, with new players challenging traditional giants like China. Thailand is focused on innovation and diversification, while Bangladesh is leveraging its cost-effectiveness and specialization in garments to rise through the ranks.
Okay.
Together with the ones we named, these countries are reshaping the rules of global production and showing that manufacturing dominance is no longer tied to a single player.
I wonder, garments coming out of India, what the quality of garments would be. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see what the quality of the garments would be that are coming from India, and exactly how that would work and how that would pan out. That would be good that would be interesting to see. I'm kind of curious on the quality of materials. I'll have to just kind of buy and go see. You know what I mean?
As they continue to grow, the ripple effects of their success are being felt worldwide, reminding us that the manufacturing game is evolving in unexpected ways. Outside of the emergence of new markets, technology is another major factor reshaping the future of manufacturing.
Of course.
Automation is changing the game, allowing factories to reduce reliance on human labor while increasing efficiency.
Okay, here we go. This is what I've been trying to figure out the whole time, because they keep talking about labor costs and all this stuff, but my thing is like they're shifting away from labor costs and human labor. They're shifting. They're getting away from that. At some point, they're getting away from human labor and they're going for robots and automation and AI. So this is what I've been waiting for right here. We're right at the end of the video, so this is where I'm trying to figure out, like, when you're making all these moves, are you creating these hubs to be automated in robotics with fewer humans, or what are we doing? Because I know you want to circumvent the labor costs, because you'll be running into that issue over and over till you literally have risen the cost of every country and have nowhere else to go except pay a higher labor cost fee. So this is what I was kind of wondering, at what point do we get to robotics, automation, and AI when it comes to labor? So here we go.
Smart factories equipped with IoT devices reliance on human labor while increasing efficiency. Smart factories equipped with IoT devices and data analytics offers real-time insights into production processes, enabling faster
how to kill all mosquitoes.
Oh my God. Okay, so smart factories is what they're talking about. So we got smart factories. So keep that in mind whenever you're hearing about hubs and new places being put up. Understand what a smart factory is and how it works, because they're about to show us right now exactly how these things get down and how they work. So you'll know whenever you hear something going on, a new building being built, a new facility being built, what a smart factory is, and is it beneficial for humans, or is it a big automation plant where it's minimal human and more robotics and AI and automation? But let's pull that back up and let's see what it is. Let me turn the volume on. Okay, here we go.
Analytics offers real-time insights into production processes, enabling faster problem solving and optimization. Imagine a factory where machines communicate seamlessly, adjusting operations on the fly to maximize output. That's the future businesses are investing in, and it's not just theoretical. It is happening now.
Thank you.
What this means is that as countries modernize, the factories that propped up China will continue to evaporate. After all, automated machines and the like equal the playing field, eliminating some of China's advantages. Artificial intelligence is also playing a huge role in this transformation. AI is being used for predictive analytics, helping businesses forecast demand, managing inventory, and streamline operations. For instance, AI can analyze data from sensors in a factory to identify potential issues before they disrupt production.
Exactly.
These advancements are making manufacturing faster, smarter, and more reliable. However, when all this is said and done, China, despite its challenges, isn't sitting idle. The Made in China 2025 initiative.
That's exactly what I was talking about. You can't count them out because of the simple fact that if China is willing to take a hit, because I had a video I did a few days ago when China was like, we'll take the hit. It was like a 15% hit they would take on the U.S. production. It was like, we'll take the hit. We don't care. We'll take the hit. Because also they've been teaming up with Africa and, you know, building connections and stuff with Africa. Plus they're part of BRICS. However, one of the previous videos that I did, they talked about AI was trying to be a part of this new era, this new wave of production, which involves automations, robotics, and AI. So while we're looking at, you know, according to the video, how it was looking as like China's catching a hard time, it's really kind of like that transition when you're going from this to that. You got to go through that mucky, that painful part. You know what I mean? It's going to hurt before it starts to feel good type thing. That's kind of like what I think that they're transitioning into. It's like, we got to make this transition. It's going to be painful for a while, but it's going to transition into something greater. However, who is going to benefit from the greater? Is it just the haves and the have-nots? You know what I mean? Like when the robotics come in, where do the people fit in? But let's see. Here we go.
Initiative isn't sitting idle. The Made in China 2025 initiative is a bold attempt to reinvent the country's manufacturing sector by focusing on high-tech industries. From robotics to aerospace to new energy.
Sorry, let me read that. China's industrial policy is aimed at rapidly expanding its high-tech sectors and developing its advanced manufacturing base. But President Trump and other leaders of industrial democracy see the plan as a threat. Yeah, I can agree with what he's saying, but at this point, what can you do? Because Trump, you only got like 4 years. So, you know, and if somebody like the previous president gets in, it's a wrap. They got it lock and seal, but it's just the way it's going. Here we go.
By focusing on high-tech industries. From robotics to aerospace to new energy vehicles, China is aiming to lead in advanced manufacturing areas that will define the next era of production. It's an ambitious strategy that reflects China's determination to remain a key player in the global economy, even as labor costs rise and geopolitical pressures mount. However, there are environmental challenges to consider. China's rapid industrialization has come at a significant cost to the planet, with factories contributing to air and water pollution and high carbon emissions. These environmental concerns are prompting stricter regulations and compliance requirements, adding complexity to an already strained manufacturing sector. Factories now face tougher emission standards, which can increase operational costs and slow production. As the world adapts to these shifts, the implications for global trade are becoming increasingly clear. Businesses are no longer prioritizing cost above all else. Resilience, adaptability, and sustainability are now the driving factors behind supply chain strategies. We're seeing the emergence of...
Okay, resilience, adaptability, and sustainability are the key things for these global manufacturing or whatever they're talking about.
And systems are no longer prioritizing. The implications for global trade are becoming increasingly clear. Businesses are no longer prioritizing cost above all else. Resilience, adaptability, and sustainability are...
Resilience, adaptability, and sustainability. All those things could be heavily improved with robotics and automation. Resilience, that's going to be, is be able to bounce back, to be able to see what's going on. Like those three things that we just named, which were
prioritizing cost above all else. Resilience, adaptability, and sustainability are
resilience, adaptability, and sustainability. Resilience and adaptation, yes. Sustainability, yes. Like those three things are going to be it's going to be a huge impact with AI and robotics and automation.
now the driving factors behind supply chain strategies. We're seeing the emergence of a more decentralized and diversified manufacturing network, where multiple hubs around the world play significant roles. Countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico are becoming essential players, each contributing in their own way to the global economy. At the same time, China remains vital in high-tech and value-added industries, ensuring that it doesn't fade completely from the manufacturing scene. This manufacturing crisis is more than just a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's a chance for businesses to innovate, governments to collaborate, and the world to build a more balanced and sustainable global economy. As countries rise to meet these challenges, they're not just reshaping manufacturing, they're reshaping the future itself.
Yeah, reshaping the future itself. Job market is going to be a whole different ball game because your competition is going to be with high tech and AI. So how is that going to play itself out? And that's going to be an interesting thing to look at and see how that's going to play out in the future. But shout out to the Business Basics for that video. Let's give them a round of applause for sure. Yes, that was good. That was really good. And let me find out that whole time I had the wrong freaking banner up. Oh my goodness. Look, the economy. Oh my goodness. The whole time I had the wrong banner up. You know what? Just for that, just for me having the wrong banner up, give me the boo sound effect. Boo me. Yeah, boo boo. That was terrible. Oh man, I didn't even notice it. But with that being said though, that's something that you guys got to pay attention to, because your mindset is going to have to shift how you're going to be moving and grooving in the future and how things are going to play itself out. It's going to be really interesting to see how things are going to move in the future, man. They're not looking out for your well-being for a job. They're not caring about the job. As you see, they're like, look, this place ain't working no more. It costs too much to deal with these folk. We going over here. You know what I mean? And at some point, they're like, we can't keep bouncing around different sectors. We're just going to robot AI automate this stuff out. We ain't got time to be constantly going and shipping across there and shipping across here when you could simply build an automation hub in your backyard and churn out whatever you need to wherever it needs to go to and then send it wherever it needs. I mean, it'll to my opinion, it'll get to that point. So you have to figure out, how are you going to navigate? How are you going to move? How are you going to move and groove in an economy that's going to be going like this? That's why I always say, get up, exercise, work out, get your mind right, get your body right, clear your mind, man. Pray, meditate, eat as best as you can to avoid any hospital visits and any unnecessary things that'll hinder your progress, because you're gonna have to have a healthy gut to mind path to be clear-headed whenever you're operating. So the way you're gonna see things, man, you're gonna have to shift, because they're shifting rapidly, and they don't care, or they're not really caring who's taking the hit, as long as their agenda gets fulfilled in the end. And that's where we're headed. That's what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, you either roll with it or get rolled over. They're not worried about you or your family or your loved ones. They like, look, we got an agenda we got to fulfill, and it's going to happen. And we got Trump over here in the U.S. doing what he can to save the U.S. But again, he's only got 4 years. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he does something where he can become elected again and again or something like that. I don't know how that's going to pan out. I don't know if an economic war is considered a war to where you're considered in wartime, where you would have to stay in office again because there's a war being waged, because that is a thing. I don't know. We're going to have to see how all this stuff pans out. It's going to be one to see, and how people are going to have to navigate and move, man, to build a community of people to think together and work together and move in the same direction together is going to be the smartest move that one can make progressing forward. Again, your mindset has to shift. You got to be able to hold people accountable and have a small knit community of a bunch of people together to be able to make everything work, to be happy, to be moving and grooving and enjoying life to your fullest. Yes. Now, the last one that we have, the last was gonna say, the last topic, the last segment that we have is gonna be AI, but I'm not gonna be able to make it to AI today because I'm pressed for time, and that video took a lot longer than I thought it would. So unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to make it to the AI portion. However, I will do a video, a part 2 video tomorrow, where I literally will just do the AI portion. Basically, part 2 to this live stream, I'll just do the AI portion all tomorrow, which basically I'll show you what it is. Let me see. Let me pull it up for you real quick and show you. So tomorrow's video is basically going to be this video right here. It's going to be how you make AI talking influencer. So basically how you can make an AI influencer or potentially even an OnlyFans model. So that's what we're going to be headed in tomorrow, looking at how we're going to make AI influencers. Here, let me give you a quick little snippet of what it will look like. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Here we go. Let me see. We'll give you a little quick snippet of what it's going to look like tomorrow. So let me pull this up on the screen for you. So this is a little piece of what it's going to look like tomorrow of what we're going to be going over. So check this out. Here we go.
In Runway, and you can also find these in the collection of free materials in the link in the description below. Now, let me show you the output. This is the same image in both Runway and Luma. Now, I would say that these have both performed adequately, but I would say that Runway has a higher degree of fidelity and realism. You can see specifically that Luma is struggling with the hands. And if you are looking to use a free version to do this, your other opportunity is to simply obscure the hands, to only do a above the chest shot. Now, conversely, with the Runway one, we do not have so much hand motion, but you can see that it really keeps this sense of realism alive. So we're going to...
All right, so that's what's going to be on tomorrow's show. So tomorrow we're going to be working on that, and I'll be sitting down doing the video, basically going along with what somebody is doing. I'm going to sit down and make me an AI person and actually make the moving part of the video and everything like that and putting it all together. And also, I will also show the previous videos that I have made and show the previous works that I have done using the AI taught on some of these people's YouTube channels who showed how to make little short story AIs. I'll go back and show the little bitty my personal AI avatar that I had made that had a little bitty short little talking thing that we did as well. So I'll be able to put all the AI things together tomorrow. So tomorrow will just be one big AI show to kind of piggyback off of today's and basically make it part 2 of what we didn't get to today. Cool. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning into today's show, man. Today was a good one, man. I really enjoyed that one. That gave a lot of insight, a lot of input on what was going on today. Yes, yes, yes. So then hopefully, with that being said, we will see you guys tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Not exactly sure what time yet, but just keep your notifications on. Remember, we simultaneously stream on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and Rumble. So if you have any of those, you can go on my link tree and find the links to all of those channels to be able to pick which one you want to go to. So with that being said, hit the like button on your way out. Give us a subscribe, follow. I greatly appreciate it. And we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Y'all take care. Peace.
Baby, I'm obsolete. Pockets chunky like cottage cheese. Real nigga, I just gotta be. Smoking weed that don't gotta see. Used to be a hustler prodigy. I love when people say they proud of me. I'm eating good, smoking broccoli. Taking over blocks like Monopoly. Only fuck the ones that's my policy. Most of these hoes tryna cause a scene. Like niggas mad they not on the team. See, I got bread, then buy the dream. The game on like, and I got the keys like Jay. My fame